And I think this next part is kind of the hook and the eye catcher of the article, if you will. It says, it is possible that we will have super intelligence in a few thousand days. So yes, that do the math, that means years away, obviously, but considering that the original plan or the original scale of artificial intelligence called for AGI within a few years, the fact that we're talking about artificial super intelligence in that almost same amount of time instead is pretty mind-blowing. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the AI Marketing Navigator. This is your daily compass in the ever-evolving world of AI marketing. Okay, navigators, this is going to be a short episode today. I've said that the last couple episodes, and somehow I've managed to ramble on for over 15 minutes or so on each one of those. But today, I think will actually be a little bit of a shorter episode, just a daily digest covering a few things in the world of AI. One being an announcement or a blog post from Sam Altman, the founder, CEO of OpenAI, for anybody who doesn't know. And it talks about the advent of super intelligence. And we've talked about general intelligence, artificial general intelligence, and I think we mentioned super intelligence in that episode as well. But Sam Altman is of the belief that super intelligence may be much closer than we think, which means obviously a completely new era of human history, and hopefully, if you're as optimistic as Sam Altman, a new era of human prosperity as well. So again, this comes from a blog post on a standalone website, it looks like, that Sam Altman created. It's ia.samaltman.com. And it is a landing page basically with the title, The Intelligence Age. And in the blog post, Sam Altman says that we're going to be able to accomplish things that our grandparents would never even have believed or imagined could be possible. And I definitely encourage you to read the post. He talks about kind of an analogy of scaffolding, where previous generations have built the scaffolding that allows the human race to climb to the heights that it has. And that now with super intelligence and with AI, we will be able to add to that scaffolding in ways that we definitely would not have been able to figure out on our own, as Sam Altman puts it here in the article. He describes the stages of superintelligence and how it might look early on. And I'll just kind of read verbatim here from the article. He says, eventually we can each have a personal AI team full of virtual experts in different areas working together to create almost anything we can imagine. He talks about how students will have AI tutors that can teach them far more in-depth and better than a normal teacher would, and how people would have assistants in a day-to-day manner that would help them with a number of tasks. Again, we've talked about having kind of that super genius in your pocket, if you will. This is literally that reality. He also gives us, as he calls it, a narrow look at human history, in which he talks about how technology has come from literal sand and rocks to the microchip that has enabled us to pursue artificial intelligence. And I think this next part is kind of the hook and the eye catcher of the article, if you will. It says, it is possible that we will have super intelligence in a few thousand days. So yes, that do the math, that means years away, obviously, but considering that the original plan or the original scale of artificial intelligence called for AGI within a few years, the fact that we're talking about artificial super intelligence in that almost same amount of time instead is pretty mind-blowing. And I really like this next part. He says, he answers the question, how did we get to this point so quickly? And how did we arrive here today, as he puts it, at the doorstep of this next age of intelligence and prosperity? And he first uses 3 words to describe it. He says, in 3 words, deep learning worked. And then he goes on, in 15 words, he describes it as the following. Deep learning worked, got predictably better with scale, and we dedicated increasing resources to it. And like I said, definitely check out the article. Sam Altman talks a lot about what this future could mean or what it will potentially take to get there. But the fact that the person who knows the most about AI in the world, which is kind of a statement that I am pulling from a recent rundown.ai newsletter that shared this story, and the fact that he knows more about anybody, and the person who stands to know more about AI than anybody, is super, super optimistic about where AI is headed and the pace that we're seeing it grow. So that's good news. And definitely buckle up for these next few years, guys. It's only going to get crazier. Okay, now moving on, just a quick little update here, and it's a pretty good segue coming from the fact that we're nearing super intelligence, because researchers, according to this New Scientist article, have developed an AI model that can beat Google's Recaptcha 100% of the time. So the Recaptcha test, where there are multiple images being identified or filtered, is no longer secure thanks to AI. Goodbye, Recaptcha. Now, who knows exactly when this CAPTCHA beating model will be released publicly, or if it is ever going to be released publicly, and bad actors would be able to get their hands on it to beat CAPTCHA. But just another indicator that we are headed for a new world of cybersecurity, a relatively frightening world of cybersecurity. And hopefully Google and the powers that be have a new version of CAPTCHA or some sort of Recaptcha that is meant specifically to prevent AIs from cracking it. And I'm sure that there will be that in some way, shape, or form at some point. Okay, and then rounding out our quick episode today, last but not least, is in our bite-sized Daily Digest episode, I wanted to talk about a new tool that is openly available, open source on huggingface.com. And we've talked about huggingface.com before, basically a repository for a bunch of open source AI tools that can be tested within Spaces, they're called. And this one is an alternate to that Notebook LM or that Google tool. Now I'm forgetting what the second name of it was, or that additional tool that did the audio overview parts. And what we can do is we can update or input, you can input a set of data or a PDF or a presentation of some sort, and the AI is going to break it down for us in a few different ways. The primary one that we talked about was an audio overview, but they also broke it down into like guides and quizzes and study guides or frequently asked questions. And the idea was to have it be a research assistant to help you break down and learn new topics. But what everybody else is kind of seeing and quickly discovering is how it's crazy good at creating these AI podcasts in which the speakers go back and forth with discussions that sound very lifelike and very relevant to the content that you submitted to the model. So that brings me to this new tool called PDF2Audio. And it's an open source version of Notebook LM essentially. And if you're watching on video, I am just going to hop over into the user interface so you can see how it looks like. One moment here. Okay, so now you should see, it looks like a pretty traditional Hugging Face space. You have, not super fancy, but you can see you can upload your file. You can enter your OpenAI API key here, which is required by the looks of it. You can choose your text generation model, your audio generation model. You can set the 2 speaker voices. And then this part is really cool. You can actually set the instruction template if you wanted to be a podcast, or you want it to be what they call a Sci Agents material discovery summary, a lecture, a summary, a short summary. And then they also have 6 or so alternative languages that you can create podcasts in. So you can go multilingual with that option here as well. And I'll have you guys check out the rest of the link here in the show notes. They have basically instructions for the model, telling the model what to do with the text analysis, also telling the model what to do with what they call scratch pad instructions, which really it looks again like a prompt that's telling the model what to adhere to or how to behave when they're breaking down the content, or when it's breaking down the content. It gives some more instruction to the model on how to create a prelude to that piece of content and using dialogue. And then finally are the podcast dialogue instructions. And all of these are editable, though they do have some default content in them, which is all we're going to keep in here for our little test. Okay, well, on second thought, I tried to run our little test here, and it seems that it got a little buggy on me, a little bug going on right now with the PDF2Audio tool on Hugging Face. It's not accepting my OpenAI API key, so I'm going to have to do a little tweaking on that and see why that's not working. But I'd like you guys to please go check out this PDF2Audio space on huggingface.com and see if you can get it to work. I'm definitely really curious about how it compares and measures up to Notebook LM. Like I said, I'll have to get another try later on this week to see if something with this API bug is resolved, but definitely go check it out. And I'm assuming that it's just a temporary issue, seeing as this is getting some traction as a tool right off the bat. So anyway, as far as action items go today, I think that's about the only one, is to go try and get this PDF2Audio to work for you. Let me know if you do. Share the results with me too, please, so I can see what it sounds like. They do have a little audio example here of what it should sound like. It does sound pretty similar to the Notebook LM output, but I definitely want to hear for myself. Otherwise, as far as other action items go, all we can really do is prepare for that super intelligence future as best as we can, and hope that AI is also going to be able to stop itself from breaking through all of our security and encryptions and verifications. Fingers crossed on that one. Okay, that does it for today's episode. If you enjoyed the show or found it useful in any way, please do me a favor and follow on Spotify or subscribe on your podcast platform of choice. A review on top of that would be even more appreciated and is so super helpful to the show. So until next time, and as always, thanks for joining me. And remember to stay curious, stay consistent, and keep navigating forward. Bye.